Oh, all right. What's up, guys? Thank you all so much for coming, and we're very sorry about the delay. We just had some technical issues. I'm Archer Gary, your Washington State NGN president.
I'm Katie Lee, and I'm the Washington Vice President.
Hi, I'm Mahima Ulyar. I'm Washington State Treasurer.
Hi, I'm Harshini Iyer. I'm Washington State Secretary.
And in the booth we have Cameron Hughes, our PR VP. He'll be running the stream for us, so you won't hear much from him, but he's here and helping. And this is just going to be a quick informational presentation about NGN and starting a club. Feel free to ask any questions throughout the entire presentation. We'll be more than happy to answer them to the best of our ability. Also, make sure to stick around for the very end because we have a surprise for you guys. Now, for those of you who don't know already, Next Generations is a social entrepreneurship youth business competition. Now, to us, what that means is that social entrepreneurship is all about fixing social issues and creating change and reform through innovation. And then the second part of that kind of long selection of words is that it's a youth business competition. So it's a huge focus on the youth and empowering the youth and helping them fulfill their ambitions. Now, with this quote here, we aim to empower the next generation to solve problems affecting the progress of societies around the world in the next 100 years. Now, we like to think in a 100-year time frame just so we make sure that your business is sustainable and long-lasting. And although you might not fix, world hunger in a day, with 100 years, you could create actual change, fix some real problems. Oh, Katie, you're muted.
Okay, wait, sorry guys. Okay, so you'll notice that we have 21 goals that we're focusing on because we think that these are really pressing issues in society. And you'll notice that all of these goals are really broad and also very idealistic. And this is because we obviously don't expect you to single-handedly solve any of these within your project, but these are more just overarching categories that you can focus on and have your actual topic be a lot more narrow than this. And you'll also notice that with these goals, they're all really diverse. So there's really something for everyone. Like if you're really interested in medicine, you could look into goal number 5, healthcare access for all. If you really like environmental justice, you could consider doing something with goals 13 through 15. And if you really like coding and computer science, you could look at goal number 17, safely integrating AI and robotics. So with these goals, there's really something for everyone, regardless of what your interests are. There's always something that you can choose to play to your strengths and really showcase what you're passionate about personally. So after you finish your project, you'll have the opportunity to pitch the business model to real investors at the NGN Global Challenges competition in Silicon Valley next April. And these judges will be real investors with real money that they could potentially put towards helping your project actually come to reality and help society go towards a better future. And with coronavirus, it's all really uncertain as to whether we'll actually be able to have competitions. But if we can have large gatherings, we'll definitely be having a lot of local competitions. And if we can't do that, we'll still do virtual competitions. And we hope to bring you the same opportunities through those as well. And if you're really interested in coding, NGN is actually hosting a hackathon soon. And I believe today is actually the last day for registration. So if you're interested in participating in the hackathon, make sure to check out ngn.org and register for that. So there are really 2 pathways that you can take with your project, STEM and policy. And you'll notice that within these 2 categories, there's also a lot of wiggle room for you to do what you really like to do personally. So with STEM, there's obviously computer science and robotics, but there's also aerospace engineering, biology, chemistry, environmental sciences, and really any sort of science and technology that you're interested in. And for policy, there are all sorts of social justice movements that you might want to look into trying to solve through a social campaign. So after you decide which of the 21 goals that you want to focus on and whether you want to approach the issue from a policy or a STEM standpoint, then you would either create a product or service with a sustainable business model for a STEM project, or you would design a social campaign for a policy project. And then you would conduct research, write a paper, and then present your project to a panel of real investors at the NGN Global Challenges Conference, which, like I said, will be in Silicon Valley next April. And you might be thinking that this is really similar to some other competition clubs like DECA and FBLA, especially like the entrepreneurship prepared events. And the main distinguishing factor is that NGN really focuses on social justice and moving society to a better future. And there's also real investors as judges. So with NGN, there's actually the potential for you to bring your idea to life.
So now that we've discussed a little bit about competition, we're gonna give more of a holistic overview of what we offer in NGN. So we like to define the 3 things we offer as the 3 C's. So we have corporate connections, community service, and competitions. So in regards to corporate connections, we are unique in the sense that we have connections with various companies, and we plan on creating more partnerships in the future. And what's really great about this is, as a member of NGN, we get connected to some executives in several different companies just for more knowledge and internships and just really expand your network. Another thing at NGN that we really value is community service. As we mentioned that the goal of Next Generations is to benefit the world, a really big part of this is community service. So we value community service in all of our chapters, and we work towards creating opportunities for community service. And lastly, as we mentioned before, competitions are a huge part of NGN as it facilitates the growth of students and encourage you guys to really do what you're passionate about. And a great thing about our competitions is, as Katie mentioned, you have the opportunity to actually get the money for your product. Another really great thing about NGN is, as it is a new club, there's a lot of room for student leadership at all of your schools, which is a really great aspect. So here are some examples of external opportunities. At Washington NGN, we are planning on partnering with the several companies that are in Washington State, such as Microsoft, Boeing, etc. And we are really looking forward to being able to connect you with all those companies so you can really grow as a student and a future professional. If you'd like to learn more about NGN, and if you find all of these things interesting, make sure to follow our social media, which is Next Generation Nations and Next Generation Nations Washington. And with this, you can get updates on competitions, our connections, and community service opportunities.
So let me talk a bit more about benefits. Like Mahima just mentioned, we're going to work really hard to partner with a lot of Pacific Northwest-based corporations. And when you combine that with, our connection to judges and corporate offices, you're going to create a pretty strong network of business relations here at NGN. And with that comes the opportunity for internships in just so many fields that you might be interested in. On top of that, NGN can help you with your ventures as is. We're going to work hard to partner with any student-led initiatives or businesses, nonprofits, etc. We're gonna work hard to keep the spirit of entrepreneurship going with NGN. And on top of those perks, you can also join the annual NGN Global Challenges Conference in Silicon Valley. We'll also give you resources to not only help you with the NGN competition, but also resources that help you with just business meetings overall.
We have a question from Kellen Ward. He asks, is this a statewide organization, national, or international?
That's a fantastic question. Yes. So NGN exists at an international level. We have chapters out in India, and we have chapters in the UAE as well. But a lot of it's based in California, Silicon Valley area. Our kind of objective, our goal here is to spread this youth business competition to Washington State. So yeah, fantastic question.
So now we will be talking about how you can start a chapter at your school. The first step in starting your chapter is to find a club advisor. You want to find a teacher who would be willing to take responsibilities associated with being a chapter advisor for NGN. Once you have an advisor, you can find potential members who would be interested in taking part in the Next Generation Nations competition. Then you want to meet your school's requirements for starting the club. So currently we're in the late stages of establishing chapters at Inglemoor High School, Bothell High School, and Woodinville High School, and we're looking to expand more across Washington State. If you need constitutions or bylaws as required by your school, we have them ready. You can contact us and we will give them to you. The last step in starting a club is to report the names of your chapter's advisors, members with their emails so that we can help you register your club.
So I guess I'll take that one, Roman. We're going to use online resources to the best of our ability if we can't gather, doing virtual meetings like this, contacting people virtually. The competition will unfortunately have to be moved to a virtual competition if the virus continues at the rate it's currently going. On top of that, we're also going to be taking full advantage of all of our internet resources, emailing out any guides we have, any example projects. And we're also currently working on rebuffing the NGN website itself, so that'll be even another great online resource.
How's it going, everybody? It's Cameron here, and I would just like to talk about the NGN giveaway. This is the big surprise we're doing. We are going to be hosting a giveaway on our YouTube channel. So actually, all you have to do is go follow at NGN Washington and Next Generation Nations. And I just realized I said YouTube channel. Sorry, this is actually going to be hosted on our Instagram account. So we're going to come out with a post in the next couple hours here about this giveaway. And all you have to do is like the post, tag 3 people in the comments, and then also leave a comment about what your favorite NGN goal is and why. And we will announce the winner soon. And if you win, we will give you the code to access a $30 Amazon gift card. So this is a pretty good opportunity to both, learn more about the club, expand our reach, and maybe earn some money in the process. So hope to see you guys entering. And I'm going to give it back to Archer.
And I finally just thank you guys so much for coming in once again. It means a lot to us when you guys show up, ask your questions. I think we're just gonna take a quick moment here. If any, final questions want to be asked, we're gonna check the chat. If you guys have anything important? From Kellen, he says, what kind of time commitment is NGN? Just like a lot of similar clubs, you get out what you put in, and if you want to put in like 100 hours over the course of an entire year, you can. If you want to put way less than that, you can. So that's what the time commitment's like.
Yeah, like Archer said, it's really what you make of it. So if you want to put a lot of effort into perfecting your project and making a really good business model, then great. But if you just want to play around and experiment and not really prioritize it as much as other commitments, that's totally fine too, because just being part of the experience is great.
And we have another question from Sandy. She says, can you explain exactly what we would do after establishing the club? So right now, details on the 2021 NGN Annual Global Conference are kind of shaky, but mostly you would, after establishing a club, work on not only just your own project, but if you were a president, you'd be helping out other people, giving them resources like competition guides that we have, and kind of just growing the chapter itself, getting more people into the competition.
And Shannon Thomas asks, since this is new through Washington, how will in-person competitions be organized if COVID is not a problem? That's a very great question.
So that's something that's more subject to change, and we haven't exactly figured out all the details yet because NGN is so new right now in Washington. But they would be organized similar to the annual conference where we have a panel of judges and people would simply just go in, present their ideas, and then we would, announce winners. It would be somewhat similar to that, but things are new here, so we can change them. And I think if that's all the questions, we are ready to wrap up here. Once again, thank you guys so much for coming. We're sorry about the technical difficulties. Things should be moving back onto the NGN Washington channel itself shortly here, but I think signing off, this is the Washington exec team. I'm Archie Gary. And
Wait, we have
actually-
another question.
Yeah, it does look like we have one more question from Dia, as they ask, so how does the actual competition portion work? Is it just like a business pitch?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, it really depends on the type of project that you're interested in doing, but the majority of projects would be really similar to sort of like a DECA or FBLA prepared event if you have experience with those, with a greater emphasis on social change and social justice. So if you were interested in goals number 13 through 15, which are like heal the land, heal the air, heal whatever, then you could create some sort of product that would, for example, like an air filtration system. That's just one example, and it's not necessarily a good one, but if you were to design some sort of air filtration system and then make a presentation about that, you could present that to the judges based on a business model, of course. And that's just one example. There are a ton of really different things that you could do based on the 21 goals that are there. And we're also currently working on a competition guide that will hopefully be released soon. So we'll have more details on that. And if you're more interested in learning about competition, you can visit ngn.org. And there are also a lot of really great example projects that you can look at.
All right, and we have another question from Sandy, who asks, what would happen in the school chapters if the competition is canceled?
I guess I'll take that one. We will never cancel an NGN competition. The show must go on. We will make modifications. You know, it might not be in person. It might be forced to become virtual. But regardless, the purpose of a school chapter would be just to represent the school in the competition and to create a smaller community of people dedicated to helping each other out at the conference. It's also always kind of heavily recommended that you do the NGN Annual Global Conference project with at least one partner. You can have up to 3 people in a group, but having at least one person takes the workload down, by half.
Yeah, and there are also a lot of ways that you could still do chapter activities virtually. For example, Zoom meetings is a really great way to still talk about the club, especially since this might happen to like a lot of clubs in the fall. So it's really up to individual chapters how they would like to adapt. But Zoom meetings are a definite option, and then also just sort of other events online.
And it's looking like that is it for the questions. So we will wrap up here. Remember, subscribe to the YouTube, follow our Instagram. We have a giveaway coming shortly on that. And if you missed any part of this VOD, this stream, we're putting the VOD on our Instagram, and the VOD is also just going on the YouTube channel as well. That'll be NGN Washington. So if you missed any part of it, you can go back, watch that, and you'll see everything you need to.
It's like we do have one more question from Shannon, actually, who asks, as I understand, the actual verbal presentation is usually on April 4th. Would this be the same for in-person and online, and would the in-person competitions be set up like FBLA and DECA? Also, I would like to add one more thing. Do not subscribe to this YouTube channel. Due to technical difficulties, we had to host the stream on this, which is actually my personal YouTube channel. So make sure to go and subscribe instead to NGN Washington State. That's where the VOD will be posted. That's where everything else will be going down. But yeah, I'll give this question off to my fellow board members.
Yeah, so if it was virtual, it would be the exact same date, and the in-person competitions would be set up. They would be similar to FBLA DECA. If you've been to those competitions, it would be similar. We'd try to organize them maybe even better to make things run smooth and efficient.
Yeah, and something I want to emphasize is that there are no roleplay events or tests with NGN like there are in FBLA and DECA. We repeatedly compare them, but they really are quite different. The one thing that's similar is the entrepreneurship and business model aspect and also the presentation aspect. But every project in NGN is very much prepared.
And one other thing I wanna make sure to emphasize is that we are always available if you have any questions. If you have any questions at all, make sure to DM us on Instagram or like comment on any of our YouTube videos. We will do our best to answer your questions. So don't think this is the only time you can get your questions answered. Feel free to DM us whenever you want to.
Okay, now only for the fourth time this afternoon, I'll be closing this out. Thank you guys so much for your questions. You know, we love answering them. And I just can't wait to see you guys all at the annual global conference next year. Thank you guys. We're out.
Thank you.
Thank you.